buying term and invest the rents, BTIR. So this is often debated online. What should this be done? And sometimes people feel that MoneyOwl is in the buy term invest the rest camp. So what is buy term invest the rest, and should we actually do this? So let's use Peter as an example again. So Peter, if you remember, needed $1 million death cover, and so there's a difference in premium between whole life and term. And let's say it is a 20 years pay in this case, and we've used a particular actual example of a whole life plan and a term plan's premiums for this age. Now, if you bought a whole life plan, or Peter bought a whole life plan, for each of these 20 years, you have to pay $26,653 in premium for the whole life. For a term plan that covers only until age 65, also $1 million death cover, the premium is about $1,500. Buy term and invest the rest is simply this. You take the difference between 26,000 and 1,005, which is about 25,000, and you invest it. So you buy, in this case, it seems to be until age 70. So you basically invest the rest, and then you compare after a certain amount of time, in this case 20 years, at which one actually pays, gives you a better return. So this is the theory. So if you start with your whole life, then you see that after 1 year, if you surrender, if in the first year you surrender, you get nothing back, because as you know, as most of you might know, your first year premiums for insurance really goes towards paying costs, including distribution costs like commission, admin expenses, and so on. In the second year, if you surrender, you get only 16,000 back, and you paid 53,000 in premiums. So if your return, and doesn't even if you had a higher investment return, that means you got some bonuses, you are still losing kind of 50% in terms of ROI, a return on investment, negative 50%. Now for term, if you're invested the difference here and you got a 2% return per annum, you get this return. If you get a higher return of 4% and 6%, these are your various returns. Now, so we do that the same for third year, cumulatively, fourth year, fifth year, and then all the way to 20 years. And what you realize here is that even if you surrender it at year 20, you actually, even after all the policyholder bonuses, and even if the insurance company made 4.75% on its par fund, you have not broken even. Now this, I think we've always known that it takes very long time for you to break even on a whole life. But the reason why it is as long as 20 years nowadays, rather than say 15 years, about 20 years ago, is because returns have come down. The benefits in terms of the illustrated benefits have come down from maybe 6% to 4.75%. And okay, if you did the invested the difference over the years, over 20 years, at 2%, you will get this, at 4%, of a higher amount, and so on. So this seems to work very well in favor of buy term invest the rest, but is it really so? So what do we learn from these observations? Firstly, let's just look at the whole life part. If you buy a whole life plan, the moral of the story here is please don't depend on it for retirement planning purposes. To think that at age 65, 20 years from now, in this case, that Peter can surrender it and use it for retirement planning, because returns are low, and in this case, you actually get back less off than what you put in. Now, of course, you might say, you know, this is just one policy, maybe other insurance companies are different, but yes, it might be so, but it would not be that different because the illustrations are the same. And so this is really the first lesson that we learn, that you should not depend on whole life for retirement planning. Now, buy term and invest rest, it looks wonderful, right? The question is whether you can get 2%, 4%, and 6%. Whether you can take the risk and all that. And it's not easy. But of course, you will notice that even at 2%, you're better off. And if you have room to top up your CPF at 4%, Why not at 65 it streams out for you as well, an income? But we can have an advisor guiding you, and we can have a very long conversation about how to invest in the right way so that you can have a greater reliability or certainty of getting that 2, 4, and 6%. But that is, achieving your goals with more certainty. But there's actually still risk, and we understand that. But actually, if you look at this whole thing and take a step back, as far as insurance and protection is concerned, just remember the primary purpose of buying insurance is for protection. The role of insurance in your financial plan is protection. So the reason for buying term is actually not to invest the rest. And at MoneyOwl, we do not ask you to buy term because we want you to invest the rest. The reason for buying term is because, once again, it is the most affordable way to be fully covered. Otherwise, if we say that the reason for buy term is to invest the rest, then we've totally gone against the whole purpose of buying insurance in the first place, and we're saying that actually insurance is not for protection. The main question is actually this, or the main problem is this: how many of us at age 45 can afford to pay $26,000 a year in insurance premium to get the $1 million coverage? And that is the real reason why we advocate term, so that you can be covered. So buy term, invest the rest really is academic discussion. There's no need to talk about whole life. Whole life, basically, you lose money, right? But we need to talk about investments separately. How our investment philosophy get us there more about, and we can have great discussion, but it's a separate discussion. So once again, buying term, not to invest the rest. Buying term is to get fully covered. So let's get the coverage part of our financial planning done first, then we can talk about investing.